My wife, a university lecturer, has recently developed a new habit. She sneers at my bookkeeping. You only know how to fuss over these trivial numbers. Can't you live with a little passion? One afternoon, I brought a bouquet of flowers to the campus to see her, but by the lakeside, I saw her chatting happily with a tall male student, his arm casually draped over her shoulder. When the young man noticed me, a trace of disdain curled at the corner of his lips. My wife, on the other hand, froze in place, clearly scrambling for an excuse. I walked over, ignored her completely, and threw a punch straight at the student's jaw. He staggered backward, the arrogance on his face instantly replaced by shock. Chapter 1. Raphael, are you out of your mind? Wendy screamed, her voice sharp and grating, completely stripped of the calm elegance she usually carried at the podium. She didn't come to me first. Instead, she hurried over to support the staggering student. Ian, are you okay? Are you hurt? Her voice was filled with concern. There was even a hint of panic I had never heard before. The student named Ian clutched his jaw and spat out a mouthful of blood. He was half a head taller than me, dressed in a basketball uniform, his muscles clearly defined. He shook Wendy's hand off and fixed his gaze on me. The shock in his eyes had already turned into fury. Who the hell are you? How dare you hit me? I casually threw the bouquet of champagne roses I had brought for Wendy onto the ground. The petals scattered everywhere. I'm her husband. I tugged at my tie slowly. Which hand was it? The one you just had on her shoulder. Ian's anger faltered for a moment, then deepened into even greater contempt. He looked me up and down, my tailored suit, gold-rimmed glasses, refined demeanor. Husband? Heh. He laughed, flashing a set of white teeth. You, just some pathetic guy who follows Professor Wendy around like a simp, bringing her flowers? He stepped forward, his presence oppressive. So what if I touched her? I've touched other places too. What can you? I didn't wait for him to finish. He was fast, but I was faster. I grabbed the wrist of the hand he had placed on Wendy, twisted it hard, and drove my knee straight into his abdomen. Ugh. Ian instantly doubled over like a shrimp, his face contorted in pain. Raphael, stop it. Wendy rushed over, trying to pull me away. Do you even realize this is a school? What are you trying to do? I shook her hand off. The force sent her falling to the ground as well. Looking down at Ian, my gaze behind the lenses turned icy cold. In a school, you should at least behave like a student. Don't touch people you shouldn't. Why, you just wait. Ian broke out in cold sweat from the pain, but still refused to back down. Do you even know what my family does? My dad. I don't care what your dad does. I cut him off. I pulled out a handkerchief, wiped the hand I had used to grab him, then tossed it onto his face. Wendy. I turned to look at my wife, who was still sitting on the ground. She flinched under my gaze, her body trembling slightly. In 3 years of marriage, I had never looked at her like this before. Are you coming with me yourself, or do I call security to escort you? Wendy's face shifted between pale and flushed. The commotion by the lake had already drawn a crowd of students, whispering and pointing. At that moment, her dignity as a lecturer shattered completely. Raphael, can you stop making a scene? She said in a lowered voice, trying to maintain what little composure she had left. You injured my student, and you still think you're in the right? Your student, I repeated, letting out a cold laugh. Your student gets to wrap his arm around your shoulder, Professor Wendy. Is that what you call professional ethics? We were discussing academic matters. Wendy hurried to explain. Ian is just a bit enthusiastic. Academic matters. I pointed at Ian. Since when do academic discussions require physical contact? Do you think I'm an idiot, or that all these people watching are? I ignored her excuses, took out my phone, and directly dialed the dean of her faculty. The call was answered quickly. Dean Law. This is Raphael. All the color drained from Wendy's face instantly. Chapter 2. Raphael. Don't. Wendy suddenly jumped to her feet and tried to snatch the phone. I turned slightly and avoided her. On the other end, Dean Law sounded surprised. Raphael, what a rare call. Aren't you busy with that cross-border merger? What brings you to call me? Dean Law was an old classmate of my father's and a longtime family friend. The reason Wendy had been able to secure a lecturer position at this top university was because I had personally asked Dean Law to push her through a priority recruitment process. Wendy didn't know this. She had always believed it was due to her outstanding PhD credentials. Dean Law, I'm by your campus lake, I said calmly. Wendy is here as well. Oh, haha. You two came together to see me. I'll head over right now. Wait for me in my office. Dean Law sounded delighted. That won't be necessary. I just wanted to inform you, I said, looking at Wendy's pale face. I just hit one of your students here. You might want to send someone from the campus clinic and security to handle it. There was a 3-second silence on the line. What happened? Dean Law's tone turned serious. Your student. I glanced at Ian, who was still gasping on the ground. Had his arm around my wife, your lecturer, right in front of me. Her husband. Outrageous. Dean Law barked. Raphael, don't act rashly. Put Wendy on the phone. I handed the phone to Wendy. Her hands trembled as she took it. She had barely said, "Hello, Dean Law," when his furious roar came through the phone, so loud I could hear it clearly from where I stood. "Wendy, what on earth are you doing? Where is your professional ethics? Immediately bring that student to my office, and you'd better smooth things over with Raphael." Tears instantly welled up in Wendy's eyes. She stood there clutching the phone, humiliation, anger, and a trace of fear making her whole body tremble. Ian heard it too. He struggled to his feet, his face dark. "Professor Wendy, who is that old man?" "Shut up," Wendy snapped sharply, venting all her frustration on him. I watched the farce coldly, without the slightest ripple of emotion. I walked over, picked up the bouquet I had thrown to the ground, and tossed it into the nearby trash can. "Wendy," I adjusted my suit jacket. "I'll be sleeping in the guest room tonight. You'd better think carefully whether you're going to explain your academic enthusiasm to Dean Law, or come home and explain it to me." I turned and walked away without the slightest hesitation. After I had gone more than 10 meters, I could still hear Wendy's suppressed cries behind me. "Raphael, you lunatic, you cold-blooded calculator." Cold-blooded, calculating. My steps paused for a moment. I remembered just last night, she had pointed at my nose and yelled the same things. It had started because I brought out this month's household expense ledger to go over next month's budget with her. This was a habit I had maintained for 3 years since our marriage. As a CFO, sensitivity to numbers and planning was ingrained in me. I recorded every expense, small ones like groceries, large ones like the health supplements we bought for her parents. Wendy used to admire this about me. She said I was meticulous and dependable. But about 6 months ago, she changed. She began frequently attending parties, hitting the gym, and joining outdoor activities, things she used to disdain. Last night, when she saw my ledger, she snatched it and threw it onto the floor. "Raphael, all you ever do is obsess over these trivial details. Every day after work, it's just you and that stupid notebook. I buy 1 bottle of perfume and you have to log it. Can't you live with a little passion?" I calmly picked the ledger back up. "Wendy, that bottle of perfume cost $13,000. Your monthly salary is only $8,000. Last month, our social expenses exceeded the budget by $5,000. Your brother lost $100,000 in stocks last week. I just covered that. If I don't calculate, this household will fall apart." She was left speechless. "You're the CFO of a major company, earning $2 million a year, and you're arguing over my $100,000. That's just pathetic." She slammed the bedroom door shut. "I'm telling you, Ian's family casually gives gifts worth more than that. Don't impose your small-minded, penny-pinching mentality on me." Ian, that name again. I should have realized then that my wife, the university lecturer, had already crossed the line emotionally. Today, when I brought those flowers, it was meant to be one last chance for her. Now it seems, it was completely unnecessary. Chapter 3. I didn't go back to the company. Instead, I had the driver take me straight home. Oriana's call came in right on time as soon as I got into the car. She was my personal assistant at the company, and the subordinate I trusted the most. "Raphael, the Moon Group video conference starts in half an hour. Where are you now?" Her voice was always calm and efficient. "Postpone the meeting." I leaned back in the seat and pinched the bridge of my nose. "Help me take care of a few things." "Yes, go ahead. First, look into a student named Ian from Seagull University's athletics department. His family background, key social connections, and his father's company, everything. The more detailed, the better. Second, Dean Law from the School of Foreign Languages at Seagull University." I paused for a moment. "No, I'll handle that myself." Third, draft a divorce agreement for me in terms of property division. Specify notarized premarital assets and postmarital joint assets. I paused again. Forget it. Contact lawyer Tang directly and have him prepare it and send it over. There's only one requirement: Wendy leaves with nothing. Oriana paused for 2 seconds, but she didn't ask any unnecessary questions. Understood. Ian's file will be sent to your email within an hour. I'll contact lawyer Tang right away. And one more thing, I added. Compile a full account of Wendy's family finances. Her brother's shell company, the money I poured into it, every single transaction must have supporting records. Got it. After hanging up, I finally felt some of the heaviness in my chest ease. Passion. Wendy wanted passion. She would soon find out just how passionate the consequences of angering a CFO could be. When I got home, the housekeeper was cleaning. I walked into the study and opened the ledger Wendy had once sneered at. It didn't just record daily expenses. I flipped to the appendix section. 3 years ago, when Wendy joined Seagull University, donated $5 million to the Board of Trustees to support academic exchange in the School of Foreign Languages. 2 years ago, Wendy's father suffered a cerebral hemorrhage, arranged for specialists from Union Hospital to perform surgery. Medical expenses, $780,000, paid in full. 1 year ago, Wendy's younger brother's business failed. Owed $3 million in loan shark debt, settled. Half a year ago. Purchased a full-payment luxury apartment in her hometown for Wendy's parents. Property registered under her mother's name, for $2 million. Every single item was recorded in detail. To the family backing me, this money was insignificant. But to the $2 million a year CFO, I appeared to be on the surface. It was an astronomical sum. Wendy enjoyed all of it, yet took it for granted as something I should do. She didn't even realize that the husband she despised could, with a single word, drag her and her entire family from the clouds down into the dirt. By evening, Wendy returned home. Her eyes were swollen and red, her face exhausted. She threw her bag onto the sofa the moment she walked in. "Raphael, are you satisfied now?" she demanded immediately. Dean Law scolded me in front of the entire department. I have to write a self-criticism. Ian's parents even came to the school to make a scene. "Do you have any idea how much trouble you've caused me?" I sat in the study chair without turning around. "Trouble?" I slowly turned the chair. "You're the one who caused me trouble." "Wendy, I caused trouble." Her voice rose sharply. "I should never have married you. You're paranoid, controlling. You even interfere with my normal social life." "Normal social life?" I let out a cold laugh. "Letting someone wrap his arm around your shoulder and whisper in your ear, that's normal. We were just talking about our field. He's just a student. What bad intentions could he possibly have?" Wendy was still being stubborn. "It's your mind that's filthy. First you used that stupid ledger to control me. Now you're trying to control me with violence." "Ian already admitted it," she said. "He admitted it was his initiative, it had nothing to do with me. He's already gone to apologize to Dean Law." I looked at her. "He admitted it. What exactly did he say?" "He said he's always admired me, sees me as a sister, and got carried away for a moment." Wendy's gaze flickered. "Anyway, it's over. Raphael, you need to go apologize to Ian, and compensate his medical expenses." I stood up and walked toward her. "Wendy, do you think I hit him today because I was jealous?" She froze. "I didn't hit him because I care that much about you." I leaned in closer, lowering my voice. "I hit him because he touched what belongs to me, and when something of mine gets dirty, I clean it up." Wendy's face went completely pale. What do you mean?" "It means," I pointed toward the door. "Lawyer Tang is waiting outside. The divorce agreement is ready. Go sign it." Chapter 4. Wendy stood frozen in place, not moving for a full 10 seconds. The exhaustion and anger on her face were instantly replaced by overwhelming shock. "Divorce?" she repeated hoarsely. "Raphael, you're divorcing me over something this trivial?" "Trivial? That student. Nothing even happened between us." Wendy panicked. She stepped forward and grabbed my arm. "You've already hit him. You've already yelled. Dean Law has already handled it. What more do you want? You're just using divorce to force me to give in, aren't you?" I looked at the hand clutching my sleeve. There was still the faint smell of Ian's sweat on it. One by one, I pried her fingers loose. "Wendy, you've overestimated your place in my heart and underestimated my tolerance for betrayal." I opened the study door. Lawyer Tang was standing outside, briefcase in hand. "Lawyer Tang, come in." "Sir, madam." He walked in, nodded politely, and placed a document on the table. "This is the divorce agreement, madam. Please have a look. Sir's intention is an amicable separation. You may take all personal belongings acquired during the marriage, but there will be no additional alimony." Wendy's eyes locked onto the document. She suddenly looked up at me. "Raphael, are you serious? Sign it." I had no interest in wasting more words. "I'm not signing." Wendy suddenly became hysterical. "I refuse to divorce. I didn't cheat. What right do you have to divorce me? This is unilateral abuse." "Raphael, don't forget, you were the one who hit someone first, at our school. Ian's family won't let this go. Do you really think your CFO position can protect you?" She clung to this as her lifeline and began threatening me. "If you back down now and apologize to Ian, I'll pretend none of this ever happened. Otherwise, I'll see you in court. I'll sue you for domestic violence, and make sure you're completely ruined." Lawyer Tang frowned slightly beside us, as if he wanted to speak. I raised a hand to stop him. Watching Wendy's bluster, I found it almost amusing. "Wendy, do you really think Ian's family is powerful?" "Of course. His father is Morrow. He's in real estate, worth hundreds of millions." Wendy lifted her chin, trying to use this information to intimidate me. "You're just a salaried employee. What makes you think you can compete with that?" "Morrow," I repeated the name. I opened my phone and pulled up the file Oriana had sent an hour ago. Morrow, chairman of East Sea Real Estate. He had built his fortune through early demolition projects and, in recent years, had aggressively acquired land with extremely high leverage. And his largest creditor, coincidentally, was a trust fund under my family's group, worth hundreds of millions. "Wendy, you seem to have some misunderstanding about what that actually means." I handed her the phone. This is East Sea Real Estate's latest balance sheet. Total liabilities, $3.4 billion. Net asset valuation, negative. Whether he can survive past next month is still a question. Wendy couldn't understand the complexities of a financial report, but she understood the word negative. That's impossible. The way Ian spends money, lavishly, driving sports cars, going out of his way to please you. His professor, is that it? I cut in smoothly. Because he knows you're Raphael's wife. He probably thought that getting close to you would give him access to the resources behind me. And no, that's not true. Wendy began to panic. Ian, he genuinely admires me. Genuinely admires you. I smiled. Didn't he tell you that I'm rigid, boring, obsessed with bookkeeping, and not worthy of a refined, elegant woman like you? Chapter 5. Wendy's lips trembled, but no words came out. And did he also tell you he could show you what real life is like? That he could bring you passion? Wendy. I dropped the smile. You're just a tool he's using to leverage benefits. And you actually thought you were his true love? That's nonsense. Wendy screamed. Ian is not that kind of person. It's you, you scheming bastard. You fabricated all this to slander him. Fine. I nodded. Lawyer Tang. Please get the blue folder from the safe in my study. Lawyer Tang complied. Inside the folder was everything Oriana had compiled, the full financial record of Wendy's family. I tossed the folder in front of Wendy. Since you like keeping accounts so much, let's settle them properly. This is the $100,000 your brother lost in stocks, transferred just last week. This is your father's hospital bill from last year, $780,000. This is the $3 million in loan shark debt your brother owed after his failed business. I paid it off. And the $5 million I donated to Seagull University when you got hired. Oh, and by the way, this house you're living in right now, it's under my name. Premarital property. I pointed at the ledger she had once thrown to the ground. All of this is recorded clearly in my ledger. Wendy. Tell me, on a salary of $150,000 a year as a university lecturer, what exactly gives you the right to live the life you're living now? Your face, or your so-called academic prestige? Wendy collapsed onto the floor, staring at the bank records and contracts, unable to say a single word. I'll give you two choices. First, sign it, take your clothes, and get out of this house. As for what your family owes me, I'll deduct it monthly from your salary, though you might not have a salary much longer. Second, refuse to sign. I'll file for divorce immediately and sue your family for fraud and illegal possession. Then we'll settle everything in court. Chapter 6. In the end, Wendy didn't dare refuse to sign. All her pride and confidence were shattered by those black and white transaction records. The elite husband she thought she had turned out to be the financial lifeline her entire family depended on. The ledger she once despised was actually the blade hanging over her family's neck. She cried and begged me, saying she had been foolish, saying there was really nothing between her and Ian, begging me to give her one more chance. Raphael, I was wrong. I really was wrong. Please don't drive me away. She clung to my legs. My dad is in poor health, he can't live without those imported medicines, and my useless brother, please help me. Just one last time. I kicked her away. The medical expenses will be cut off. As for your brother, his life or death has nothing to do with me. As for you, I looked at her. Dean Law should have already called you. Wendy's body trembled violently. Just before Lawyer Tang came in, Dean Law had called again. Wendy didn't dare answer, and it went straight to voicemail. I played it on speaker. Wendy, get to my office immediately. Ian's parents are already here. You were seen getting physically involved with a student on campus. There's clear evidence. The school will handle this seriously. Don't even think about keeping your lecturer position. Dean Law's furious voice echoed through the quiet living room. The last trace of color drained from Wendy's face. Her career, her family, and the so-called passion she once took pride in, vanished all at once. When she left, she only took a few pieces of clothing. The bags and jewelry I had bought for her, she didn't dare touch a single one. Lawyer Tang spoke softly beside me. Raphael, regarding East Sea Real Estate, proceed as planned. I said indifferently. Notify the trust fund, halt all extensions and initiate asset liquidation. As for Morrow, he's suspected of contract fraud and illegal asset transfers. Have the legal department follow up. Understood. When Wendy reached the door, she heard this conversation. She turned back, staring at me in disbelief. You. Ian's family, it was you. I'm just a CFO who follows the rules. I adjusted my glasses. Debts must be repaid. That's how it works. Wendy left. I instructed the housekeeper to pack up everything she had ever used in the house and throw it all away, including the bed she had slept in. Oriana's call came in again. Morrow from East Sea Real Estate wants to see you. He's downstairs in the lobby, insisting on apologizing to you in person. I won't see him, he said. He brought Ian with him. Ian already had one of his legs broken by him. Oh. I walked to the floor-to-ceiling window and looked down at the Bentley parked below, then let him wait. I drew the curtains and sent Oriana a message. Order a new set of bedding for me. And tonight, come over. Chapter 7. Morrow and his son Ian never got to see me in the end. I stayed upstairs in my office, dealing with a backlog of documents, while Oriana handled them in the lobby downstairs. Chairman Morrow, Mr. Raphael is currently in a very important international meeting. Oriana's voice was polite yet distant. As for your company's debt issues, our legal and liquidation teams will coordinate with you according to procedure. Assistant Oriana, Miss, please, I'm begging you, make an exception. Morrow had completely lost the composure of a real estate tycoon. His voice even carried a hint of sobbing. It's all that useless son of mine. He failed to recognize greatness and offended Mr. Raphael. Look, I've already broken his leg. Ian sat in a wheelchair, his face pale, head lowered, not daring to say a word. Chairman Morrow, this is Mr. Raphael's personal matter, and I have no authority to interfere. As for business, Oriana paused slightly. Mr. Raphael's principle is simple. Anything that doesn't follow the rules is not up for discussion. I had never doubted Oriana's efficiency. The very next day, news of East Sea Real Estate's financial collapse and Chairman Morrow being criminally detained for fraud made the financial headlines. The Morrow family had fallen. Naturally, Wendy saw the news as well. She called me countless times. I didn't answer a single one. Then she started sending messages, one after another. Raphael, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Ian is a scumbag. He deceived me. Please, for the sake of our 3 years of marriage, let me go. Dean Law has already fired me. I can't find a job. My mom had a heart attack, and my dad's medication has run out. Please, can you lend me money? I'll write you an IOU. I'll repay you for the rest of my life. I looked at the messages and felt nothing but annoyance. I dragged her number into the blacklist. Silence returned. That evening, Oriana came by to deliver documents. She had changed out of her business suit and was wearing a beige dress. Her hair was down, softening her sharpness and giving her a gentler air. She made me a cup of tea. MS. Wendy came to the company today to make a scene. Security stopped her. She reported softly. She didn't seem to be in a good mental state. I flipped through the documents without looking up. You don't need to report things like this to me in the future. Yes. Oriana stood quietly to the side. The room was filled only with the soft rustling of turning pages. After a while, I finished signing the last document and looked up at her. Have you had dinner? Oriana froze for a moment, her cheeks flushing slightly. Not yet. Let's go. Keep me company for dinner. I stood up and picked up my coat. Oriana followed behind me and asked softly, where are we going? My place. I pressed the elevator button. Didn't you say last time you wanted to see my ledger? Oriana's face instantly turned crimson. Chapter 8. Oriana was a great cook, 4 dishes and a soup. Simple yet refined. We sat at the dining table, the atmosphere subtly delicate. Did I overstep? Oriana lowered her head, taking small bites of rice. At the company, your assistant Joan. After work, you can call me Raphael. I placed some food onto her plate. Eat. She looked up, her eyes bright. Raphael, she said cautiously, testing the name. I nodded. After dinner, she took the initiative to wash the dishes. I didn't stop her and instead walked into the study. When Oriana finished cleaning up and came in, I was already seated at the desk, holding that ledger. This is, she asked, a hint of curiosity in her voice. I patted the seat beside me. She hesitated for a moment before sitting down. I pushed the ledger toward her. She flipped through it page by page, from the early records of daily expenses to the later entries of increasingly large, family support sums. You gave a lot for her, Oriana said softly. That's not giving. I corrected calmly. That's called an investment. Just a failed one. A qualified CFO needs to know when to cut losses. Oriana closed the ledger and looked at me. Then, what about Ian? Did you already know there were issues with his father's company? No, I shook my head. I just didn't like his face, so I had the legal department look into him. Didn't expect to find problems everywhere. He's actually quite lucky, I said with a faint smile. If his family had been clean, I might have had to use other methods, like making sure that broken leg of his would never heal properly. Oriana shivered slightly, but the way she looked at me grew even brighter. I'll take you home, I said, standing up. No need. Oriana stood as well. She took a deep breath. Raphael, can I stay tonight? She tilted her face up toward me, her eyes filled with long-suppressed admiration and desire. I looked at her lips, so close. I didn't answer. Instead, I leaned in and kissed her. Wendy chased passion. As for me, I only believe in equal exchange and seizing the moment. Chapter 9. The next day, I went to work feeling refreshed and clear-headed. Oriana had already arrived at the office, back in her capable assistant persona, though there was now a hint of charm in her eyes. Good morning, boss. She handed me the materials for the morning meeting. Dean Law called earlier. He'd like to invite you to lunch to discuss Wendy's resignation and explain things in person. Decline it. I flipped open the documents. Tell him Wendy's matter has nothing to do with me anymore. As for Seagull University, this year's academic donation will proceed as planned. I don't want an irrelevant person affecting our cooperation. Understood. Oriana nodded. Also, Wendy's mother called your mother this morning. On your mother's side. I frowned. Wendy was getting desperate. She had started reaching out to my parents. My mother was traditional and soft-hearted. She couldn't stand emotional pleas and tears. I dialed her number. Mom, don't get involved in Wendy's situation. Raphael. My mother sounded anxious. That girl was crying so miserably, saying she knows she was wrong. She said her father can't stop his medication. There's no overnight hatred between husband and wife. Mom. I cut her off. She cheated during the marriage, with her student. Dean Law has already confirmed it. What? My mother was shocked. I'm sparing her out of respect for you, but if she keeps harassing you. I paused slightly. I'll make sure her entire family ends up on the blacklist for defaulters by tomorrow. My mother sucked in a sharp breath and didn't dare to persuade me anymore. Why you handle it yourself then? Sigh, what a mess. After hanging up, I looked at Oriana. Find out where Wendy is staying now. Got it. Half an hour later, Oriana sent me the address. An old, run-down apartment complex with cheap rent. It seemed that after being fired, Wendy was living in hardship. You're going there? Oriana asked, a little concerned. I'm going to check how much residual value my investment still has. I picked up my car keys and smiled faintly. Don't worry, I don't hit women. I was going to collect my debt. Chapter 10. When I found the shabby little place Wendy had rented, she was crouching in the corridor, on the phone, crying and shouting at the same time. You bastard, you ruined me. Pay me back. Ian, don't play dead, just because your family went bankrupt. You think you don't have to pay. I'm telling you, do you know who I did all this for? The person on the other end seemed to curse back at her. Wendy's sobbing grew even louder. Then she looked up and saw me. Her crying stopped abruptly. She froze on the spot. It had only been a few days, but she already looked completely worn down. The clothes she wore were still the ones I had bought for her, now wrinkled and stained. Raphael, as if seeing a savior, she scrambled toward me, trying to grab my pant leg. I stepped back and avoided her. Why are you here? She asked, looking up at me, her face streaked with tears. Are you here to take me home? Raphael, I know I was wrong. Wendy, I cut off her illusion. I'm here to inform you, your repayment deadline has arrived. Repayment. Your father's medical expenses, your brother's debts, and everything you've taken from me over the years. I took a list out of my pocket, printed by Oriana that morning. A total of 2 million. I've rounded it down for you, 13 million. I expect to see the first payment by next Monday. Otherwise, my lawyer will formally sue your entire family. Wendy's eyes widened, as if she had just heard something utterly absurd. 13 million. Raphael, are you insane? That was given willingly. We were husband and wife. We're not anymore. I reminded her. The divorce agreement states it clearly, under major fault. Gifted assets during the marriage can be revoked. You planned this. She finally realized. You've been calculating this from the start. That ledger of yours, I simply have a habit of planning, I said, crouching down to meet her gaze. And you, Wendy, you were the one who broke the rules. I don't have money, not a single cent. Wendy screamed. You made me lose my job. How am I supposed to pay you back? That's your problem. I stood up. You can sell things, borrow money, or, I pointed at her. You can go beg Ian. See if that broken leg of his is still willing to deal with you. No, don't. Wendy completely panicked. She clung tightly to my leg. Raphael, I'm begging you. Don't do this to me. I'll do anything. I have nowhere to go. My parents will kill me. I'll give you one last chance. She looked up, desperation and madness in her eyes. Didn't you always like my body? I'll give you everything. I'll do whatever you want. She started tearing at her already disheveled clothes, exposing more of her skin. Please, take me one more time. I looked at her like that, and felt nothing but disgust. I pulled my leg free and kicked her aside. Wendy, right now, you're not even qualified to be a plaything. I threw the demand notice down and turned to leave. Behind me, her cries broke into complete, hopeless despair. Chapter 11. I never saw Wendy again. I heard she returned to her hometown, but was soon driven out by her own parents and brother. The apartment she had was repossessed by the bank. Her brother, because of his loan shark debts, had his hand broken again. Her mother couldn't take the shock and suffered a stroke, ending up hospitalized. Wendy was completely abandoned, cut off from everyone, with nowhere to go. Later, Oriana told me that she had seen Wendy's name on the cleaning staff list of a private club. She worked 3 jobs during the day and still had to clean at the club at night, just to repay the money she owed me. Should we? Oriana asked. Stop the interest. No need. I was reviewing next quarter's financial report. Follow the contract. Oriana nodded and said nothing more. She walked over and hugged me from behind, resting her face against my back. Raphael, my parents want to meet you next month. All right. I put down the documents and held her hand. It's about time. I took her hand and led her toward the safe in the study. Come, I said. I'll teach you how to use this ledger.